Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to see how to deploy a Cloud Run service within GCP platform. Previously, we looked at how to deploy a Cloud Run function using Functions Framework API. We deployed the service with the help of console as well as gcloud CLI. In this video, we will focus on deploying Cloud Run services, which support any application that can be containerized or already has a container image. Within GCP, there are two ways to deploy a Cloud Run service. First one is to deploy it from the source code. In that case, GCP will create a container image for you. Second approach is to have an existing container image, and that container image can be used to deploy a Cloud Run service. We will cover both of these approaches in this video. If you look at the dashboard here, we have some of the services deployed with deployment type as function. These are Cloud Run function. For Cloud Run services, we have different deployment type. It is source or it is container based on the deployment we have done. If you are deploying it from the source, it is a source. Otherwise, it would be a container. You can deploy a container from the GCP console. You have to select deploy one revision from an existing container image. Here, you need to provide the URL of the Docker container image. Image can be within Docker Hub or GCP has provided the artifact registry. Here you can create a repository and you can select the format. Wherever you want to deploy, you can select the region as well, and all the images that will be pushed will be available within that specific region. Once you have created the repository, you can use this repository to push all the images. I have already one repository. For uploading any image from local system, you need to configure your gcloud CLI with the configure docker command. And for that, you can run gcloud auth configure -docker region -docker.pkg.dev. Once you have done that, your images will be pushed to this particular location when you will run that push docker command. We will see all of these in action. And once you have created a Docker container image, then we will deploy it to the GCP platform. In my local setup, I have a simple Spring Boot application. It's a plain Java app. There is nothing Cloud Run specific here. It has a controller with two APIs, get profile and create profile. And if we need to test these, we just need to run the boot run task. Once it is running, we can test the API by running the curl command. And based on this curl command, we should be able to get some response. That is a dummy response we are returning from the service. Same is applicable for the local host as well. Once we deploy this to Cloud Run, we should be able to get the same response by accessing the Cloud Run URL. For deploying it, we can use both the approaches, source-based deployment and the container-based deployment. We will start with the source-based deployment. For the deployment, we will use the gcloud CLI. Here, we can either upload the complete source code or we can upload the jar file, the same way as we have done for Cloud Run function. For Gradle-based project, we can run the boot jar task and it will create a build folder. Within that, within libs, it should have a jar file. And this is the jar file we will deploy to Cloud Run. We can deploy the service from the container image and also from the source code. For the container image, we need to provide the command gcloud run deploy, name of the service, and then we need to provide the email. This is your Docker container image URL. For deploying from the source, we can deploy it by providing the source code. Here we have a command gcloud run deploy service and -- source dot. This is a current path. If your source code is within the current path, then you can run this command, or otherwise you can also provide the complete path of the source code. When you provide a jar file, it will create a container image from that jar. If you provide a complete source code, it will upload that source code, create a build of it, and then create a container image. For deploying a code from the source, we also need to provide the source. You can use either dot if you are running the command from the current directory, or you can provide the complete path of the code. Here we have the artifact within build folder within libs, so we can provide that particular path. Along with that, we also need to provide a base image. This base image will be used to create a container. For different runtime, you can select different base images. You can find it within the GCP documentation. Here for Java, we have selected Java 21. If you don't provide the service name explicitly, then it will ask for the name. You can provide the name of the service. With this command, it will start creating a zip file of the source code, and it will push it to the cloud storage bucket, and from there it will start creating a container image based on the base image that we have selected. While running this command, you will be asked to provide the Cloud Run region, and if you don't want the prompt to be coming every time, you can set it for default. For that, you can run the command gcloud config set run-region and name of the region. I have already run this command, so my service should be deployed. Here you can see we have got a Cloud Run service deployed by the name user-service v1. Here we have the revision and the service URL. For testing it, we can run the curl command on this particular URL by calling the user's profile. Here you can see we have got the response as well. Within the dashboard, you can see we have got the service, and within this, we can also see the logs. This is a log for API call that we made. Now, if you look at the source code, here you can see we have got base image Java 21. It is not showing the source code as it is exceeding the limit of the size that can be displayed here. If we would have uploaded the source code directly instead of the jar file, then we will be able to see that source code here, and anytime whenever we want to edit it, we can do that. Here, if you look at the deployment type, we have got a source because we have uploaded the source code. Now we will look at how to deploy a container image. For that, we need a Docker file. Within this Docker file, we need to apply a base image. Here I have used Java 21, and there are a couple of steps: copying the jar file from the libs to app.jar, and finally running the Java code within the entry point. The base image here is from serverless runtimes of GCP platform. You can use any base image as long as it follows the containers runtime contract. If it does not follow that, then your service will not be deployed properly. Within GCP, based on different runtimes, you can select the base image. I have used the base image for Java 21. Here within runtime base images, you can select any of the image. And if you will go within the configuration here, you can see the name of the image. This is what you can use within your Docker file. With the Docker file, now we can create a Docker image by running the Docker build command. For that, we need to be there within the folder where we have Docker file. So we can go to user profiles CR service. Here, if ls, we have the Docker file. Just run the Docker build command and it will create a Docker image based on the name we have provided. Docker image is created. Now we need to push it to the artifact registry. We have BP repos artifact registry. We need to push the image here. For creating a tag, we can use the docker tag command. Here we need to provide the name of the image that we created and also the name of the tag. For the tag, we will provide the artifact registry path, that is asia-south2-docker.pkg.dev, project ID, then name of the repository and the service name with the latest tag or whatever tag you want to deploy to. And finally, we would push it, docker push, and the name of the tag that we have created. This is completed, and now you can see here we have got a user profile service with the latest tag. This image URL we can use to deploy the Cloud Run service. We can either use console or we can also use the gcloud run deploy command. With gcloud run deploy command, now we can provide this within the hyphen image, and with image we can provide the name of the artifact that we have created. Here, instead of the source code, now we are using the container image. We have this user-profile-service. If you look at the dashboard here, it has created the service. This time it has a deployment type as container instead of the source. If we will test this API by the new URL, again we are getting the same response. We can deploy the service from the console as well by using the same image. Here you need to select the image, and for that we can select the image from the Docker Hub or from the artifact registry. We have the image within BP repos, and here user profile service. From here we can select the latest image. Within this repo, we push the image, but when we uploaded the source, GCP has also created a repo, and within the default repository, it uploaded the container image from the source code. We did not create this image, but if you want to create a new service from the existing image, then you can use this image as well. For now, I'll select the image from the BP repos. All of the other configurations are same as what we have seen for Cloud Run function. We can select the region, we can apply the authentication, or we can skip the authentication as well. For the billing, we can either select request based or instance based, whatever is your requirement, you can select that. For the scaling, you can set the scaling, how many instances we want to run, we can set the manual scaling as well. In terms of environment variables and secret, we can add those here within the variables and secret section. If you want to know more about these configurations, you can go through my previous video where we have discussed in detail for the Cloud Run functions. Now we will deploy this. Service is deployed, and here you can see it has a deployment type container. This is how we can deploy a Cloud Run service. We have seen both ways in which we can deploy a service from the source code and also from the container image. This is all from this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Happy coding.